So I spent the first part of my life collecting academic degrees, and I got a undergraduate and graduate degree in Chinese and in Chinese history. I then went on to get an MBA and ultimately got a law degree, a JD at UCLA, where I focused on Chinese law, which was a non-existent thing at the time, as well as intellectual property. I then moved to Hong Kong and worked at Baker McKenzie, focusing on intellectual property. And then at the end of the 80s, I moved up to Beijing and ultimately became a partner at a law firm called Denton's. And I was able to have a lot of IP clients, among whom was Microsoft. And so I helped Microsoft set up its operations in China. And ultimately, when I left the law firm, I went in-house at Microsoft and became the head of what was called Law and Corporate Affairs. And it was at a really interesting time because Microsoft had just signed a consent decree with the FTC in the US, and so compliance became a really important thing in my life. I then left Microsoft and I opened up a digital art gallery as well as an incubator and a co-working space in 798, an art district in Beijing. And the name of my space was called Yuanfen, which in Chinese means fate. And there were two important meetings in my life that changed the direction of things. The first was a woman named Ming Chen, who became the first managing director of the Ethereum Foundation. And I had a phone conversation with her, and she was trying to get that job. And I had my laptop open and looking up all these new words like blockchain and cryptocurrency. And so that was my introduction. I went to Zug. I had interesting meetings with Vitalik Buterin, who on the back of a napkin literally explained blockchain to a novice. And so that was my introduction there. And then the other important Yuanfen meeting that I had was with a guy named Zach Che. Zach Che is the CEO of Pundi. And years at the end of my stint in China, I moved to Thailand, where I live now, in Chiang Mai. And Zach called me up and he said, we've got a really interesting product and project going on here. He sent me a white paper. I was super impressed. It was not only a payment system, but also had hardware. And so Zach said, we'd really like you to join our team. And I said, I don't know if you've looked, but I'm like twice the age of anyone there. And he goes, no, come on in. And so that was a really exciting and important decision for me. And so I went into Pundi. It's been about 7, almost 8 years now. And now we're moving from the sort of crypto payment space also into AI. So, and now I'm here. And so I've been involved with governments along the way. I've been involved with compliance and with the regulatory processes. And so that's how my interest grew. That was brilliant. So I have to say, a lot of people today have spoken about sort of the Trump effect, and there's this lot of anticipation, and everyone's absolutely correct that we need regulatory clarity. But as those of us who probably were on the other side, Trump is great at hyping things, but not so great at delivering. And so, all of the talk about what we want to do, what industry wants to do, maybe falls on deaf ears. And so, Linda brought up a really important point in terms of the Chevron doctrine, which is something from that the Supreme Court overturned. And so the absolute effect of that is to dilute the role of experts in terms of our regulatory development. And if you look at what, we have a particularly, sort of octogenarian Congress that is still, fiddling around with their Nokias, and you're going to get them to really understand blockchain and cryptocurrency. Like, good luck. So it's going to be, I think, an uphill struggle. I think right now the market is reacting to the hype. And that's great, but whether it can be maintained and whether there can be a real execution in terms of bringing that kind of regulatory clarity, because the important is there's so many things that are going on, but a lot of the world still looks to America and what it's doing on the regulatory side as a benchmark for where they should be heading. And I'm not entirely sure that we're going to get there. There's also, I think we have in America the role of lobbyists and the strength of TradFi lobbyists. So, I think probably the growth of stable coins, and when traditional finance can see the value in stable coins in terms of maybe cross-border settlements or even internal settlements, then there will be that support. But I think it's a very, very tough road ahead, I think, for us, but hopeful. Right. So, we at Pundi, and now we're Pundi AI, see the synergy, if you will, in bringing blockchain and the basics of decentralization and democratization into the AI world. And so to be able to have data tagging that is done not through a monopolized way, but through a decentralized way where you have communities who are participating. And going back to that sort of that basic of blockchain in terms of removing the middleman, so that the data taggers are not all in sweatshops in India and other places getting a minimal salary, but are being able to deal directly with the data buyers. So I think that there's huge potential in kind of bringing these two technologies together. And that's an important assumption that underlies all of this, is that ability to control your own data. And it's been interesting that America has been so behind in all this. That there was always concern from U.S. companies. Are we going to be able to operate in Europe if we don't have this kind of control over people's personal data, or giving it? So that's an important leap, I think, for the U.S. to make initially.